Welcome back to Check the Pulse. Today, as usual, I'm grateful and honored to have Chris VandenBos on the podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Did I crush that last name?
You crushed
Good?
it.
Unreal.
People always mispronounce my name, so that's
perfect. Great. I'm getting better at this, guys. But first and foremost, the episode's sponsored by AMJ Custom Renovation. So for all your home and renovation needs, you already know who to reach out to. Michael's an absolute gem, and I'll put all his information in all the captions. Give him a shout out. Give him a reach out. He's got you covered. Now, Chris, let's dive into our conversation. Why don't you explain to everybody a little bit about who you are, your story, where you're at now, and then we'll dive into it.
Yeah, so my name's Chris VandenBos. I'm with BlueLine Home Protection. My background is I'm a 17-year police officer that left the police service at the end of 2022 and started this home protection business recently with some other former police officers. I mean, we all decided that, when we hung up our duty belts, it wasn't going to be the end of the line for us. We still wanted to serve and protect our communities, and we were seeing a disturbing trend. And what was that disturbing trend? Well, it was break and enters and home invasions increasing, people feeling unsafe. We were seeing police response times increase due to lack of the amount of officers on the road, increasing call volume. Seemingly, it was coming across to me, and it still does, like politicians weren't putting much of an emphasis on actually preventing this from happening. And we're seeing catch and release, multiple repeat offenders constantly getting let out. And we're like, listen, and I'm just going to get into a short rant, and I try not to, but you see a police chief take the microphone and telling people, just comply if they come in your door. And it's like, you know what? BlueLine Home Protection is to make sure that it's not that you're going to comply, it's that it's entry denied. So what we do is we reinforce homes. We make sure that the people that are targeting homes for break-and enters and home invasions are not able to get in easily, if at all. And it's a nightmare to get in. And we'll talk about how we can do that for the homeowner, because at the end of the day, you should be able to feel safe in your own home. And it's sad that that's not the case here in Canada. But our background, all of our officers are specially trained in a thing called crime prevention through environmental design, which is internationally recognized. We can show the homeowner how to make their home unappealing to the criminal that might want to target their house. And then should they still move forward with trying to target that house, they're not going to get in. It's going to take forever for them to get in. And we can show the homeowners how they can take those initial steps, as well as engaging our services to make sure that should the criminal try to get in, that it's not going to be a successful effort. They're going to get pretty tired trying.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I already know this episode is going to be so good, but that's amazing. And obviously, thank you to you guys for doing what you do, because I think it's no secret to anybody who kind of lives, we're filming out of Ontario in Canada, specifically closer to Toronto, but the crime rate of home invasion is drastically increasing, and people are not feeling safe in their own homes, which is horrid, because your home is supposed to feel like your safe space. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit just quickly about the policing side, and then we'll dive into BlueLine and what you guys do. Yeah. But obviously I'm not a police officer, but you could touch on this. From what you learn in school, if you want to become a police officer, it's because you want to serve and protect. And I feel like citizens of the towns and the cities that we live in are slowly losing faith in the current police force because of whatever may be happening politically. But it's now causing them to fear, okay, chief of police is telling me to give them the keys so they can basically take my car or enter my home. I can't do anything about it. If I do something about it, I'm going to end up getting arrested or in jail because I'm trying to protect my family and my space. And in all of that now is where we have to hire companies like you in order for you to help protect our home, because we physically can't even do anything about it anyways. And there's a lack of confidence in our police departments to do something about it themselves, which are the people that are supposed to. So I think just quickly, obviously when you wanted to become a police officer, what was that innate instinct in you that was wow, I want to serve the people in my community and help protect them? What was that kind of process like in your head?
Well, it's weird because it's kind of an innate thing. My brother actually says it best. I come from a policing family.
Oh, cool.
All three of us were police officers at one point. Yeah. My one brother, Dave, left when I left. Gotcha. My other brother's still on the job. But we've always had this innate, it was definitely instilled in us by our parents that you do the right thing even when nobody's looking. And we were never fans of bullies. And if we saw somebody getting bullied, we were the types of guys that walk up and intervene and stop. And if he continued, we'd probably punch in the face. Right. That's the reality. Don't pick on people. Let people be, and don't 100%. Be a jackass. But, that was just the way we were. And my dad always said, you don't start a fight, but somebody starts one with you, you finish it.
For sure.
And, that was just the way we were raised. It was, we were an immigrant family. My dad came from the Netherlands, raised us, single income, 4 kids. Mom stayed at home with us. And it was always about doing the right thing, right? It was about making sure that you stick up for the vulnerable person. So it was no secret or no wonder that each one of the three boys got into policing. And, you know, and getting into policing was just an extension of that. It was wanting to get out there. I mean, anyone that worked with me, you will never have somebody call and say, Chris is full of crap.
Yeah.
He was a ticket writer. I wasn't a ticket writer. I got in trouble every year because I didn't like writing tickets to Joe Lunchpail and Susie Soccer Mom.
Yeah.
They have a hard enough time putting food on the table. I'm not a tax collector for Caesar.
Yeah.
I want to go out there and catch the bad guy. I want to stop bad guys from doing bad things to good people.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I did that well. And I can look at myself in the mirror every day because the job that I did and how I did it. And I have no regrets.
Yeah.
And now I am able to do something cool from the training that I got, the experience that I have, to continue to serve the public just in a different way. And
Gotcha.
I want to make people feel safe because they shouldn't have to feel insecure in their home. Like your home's your place of refuge, right? When you walk in that door, you should be able to hang your hat up, kick your shoes underneath, you know, the bench, you know, and have dinner with your family and fall asleep at night and not feel scared.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's been some changes in this country where people are feeling scared, and we want to make sure they feel safe again.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's cool that like it started when you guys were younger and that all three of you are in it. Your one brother's still in it. So like definitely you could see kind of that timeline and where it's led to. Question, and you obviously don't have to speak about it if you don't want to, but like when it came to you leaving the police force, like what made you make that decision?
Well, I'll be honest in saying I suffered with PTSD. I mean, that comes from being the first person on scene to a lot of tragedy, seeing kids die, having kids die in your arms, having people that you see suffer horrible tragedies, sexual assaults, things like that. Like eventually when you're the first on scene, you see the most raw of that trauma. And it wore me down and eventually got to the point where it was starting to break me like completely. Yeah. And I had to make a decision. You know, my family is number one. I want to be there for my family, and I don't want to break me to the point where I'm not able to be the best husband and father to my kids. And I went through a tough time. I'll be honest. I went through a tough time, but I worked through it. And they told me that I would never be back to 100%. Well, and science isn't 100%. I can tell you that because I worked hard and I got myself back to being healthy. And I left policing also because of the politics. Politics, it was taking over. It wasn't about serving and protecting anymore. In my view, from the top down leadership, the top commands of policing, I was starting to view them as more political positions than as police officers leading. And to me, leadership is everything. I want to know that when I'm putting on my blues and I'm going out there at night and tracking down bad guys doing these horrible crimes, that I'm backed by people in positions of leadership that are doing it for the right reasons too. And I felt like that was departing the roles of the executive command teams. Not to say all of them, but certainly in my observations, I was witnessing more of that. I thought, you know what, it's time for me to go. There's many other things. I have a lot of skill sets and I can apply them elsewhere and still be of service. So here we are.
Well, for sure. And like, even too, like to me, I see things as like signs. So like, that's all signage where it's like, okay, it's time to kind of weave out of this and do something better with the skills and services that you have and to serve others, right? So that leads us obviously to BlueLine. Do you think that because of the politics that have kind of like crawled into, you know, even if it's not the police force, like any kind of department that serves and protects citizens, do you think that has an effect on the response times and the rates of which or how police officers are dealing with these break-ins? Do you think it directly correlates?
Well, I think there's an inundation because of the increases in break-in enters and home invasions and crime in general and calls for service. And then I think there's probably a coupling effect. You have that coupled with the fact that, you know, there's probably a fear. I know I was seeing an increase in fear from the officers on the road that if they did the wrong thing, those politicians that are leading the police services that are no longer police officers per se, they're politicians, are going to hang them out to dry. And I know there's bad apples in policing. Like there's no question there's bad apples. There's bad apples in every position. But those bad apples can make the whole bushel look like it's rotten. And it's not. There are some amazing men and women that are out there doing the job. So you have those good officers getting lumped in with the bad officers that have made the profession maybe be viewed in bad light. And then you also get officers that maybe watched too much TV, thought it was going to be like TV, got on the job and got a little bit of a shell shock where it's like, oh man, what is this actually? Because policing is described as hours of endless boredom accompanied by moments of sheer terror. You're sitting in your car, doing your notes, you know, catching up on reports, and all of a sudden, boom, home invasion, or boom, you got an armed barricaded person, or you got, you know, a terrorist attack, whatever it might be, something horrible happens and you got to engage and go lights and sirens. But then while you're on the way, you did 140 and a 60 trying to save people's lives. And now all of a sudden, you know, the chiefs, the inspectors viewing your dash camera and says, oh, you rolled that stop sign, that red light. Oh, we're like, what are we doing here? Are we trying to preserve life and keep the peace and prevent offenses?
Yeah.
Or are we trying to, prevent good officers from doing good work?
Yeah.
So I think there's that fear too of people getting screwed. And that's only led to the increase in response times. And I'm being real with your viewers here.
Yeah, of course.
That is an impediment
Yeah.
to public safety. The over-inundation of bureaucracy has led to police officers being more scared to do actual real police work that keeps the community safe.
Yeah.
And that's in my view, that's my opinion, hold me to it or not, but that's how I view it. That's how I saw it in my career. It's how I still see it. Yeah. And, when an officer's in a parking lot and scared to go lights and sirens to a call where they're needed and that response time, like the one in Vaughan, that home invasion, that home invasion where the guy got shot and killed, trying to stop the home invaders from killing his daughter at gunpoint, got shot in the head. Yeah. And the response time, there's some discrepancies on the response time, but regardless, it was at least 7 minutes from what I'm hearing, up to 13 minutes.
That's insane.
For an armed home invasion. That to me, that should never happen. That should never happen. It's unfortunate that we're in this position, but you brought up BlueLine, and again, that's another thing that we really want to work to prevent is if we can make it so that somebody trying to get into a residence, whether it's for a break and enter or whether it's for a home invasion, takes like 15, 20 minutes and the police have been called and you now have time to gather yourself, put your family in a position of safety, get a means of protection to protect yourself should they gain entry, which they probably won't. Yeah. And the police will get there first. Yeah. Then we've insulated you. We've done our jobs. And I think everyone deserves that ability, right? And we want to afford that to them.
100%. So now diving into all of that, I know you spoke about one aspect, but you have a few of different things you can actually install into people's homes that does cause that delay where in that time, police should be there by that. And if they're not, that's a whole other problem in itself. But let's talk a little bit about that. What are the different features you can install in someone's home that will create that delay?
First is we do what's called crime prevention through environmental design, and it's referred to as CPTED. Police services offer that as a service to the community, but because there's so many requests, they take forever. So we're actually, I think, one of the only civilian entities that are former police that offer that to customers. We do it free of charge for homeowners. Yeah. We do charge a service fee for businesses, but we're talking about homeowners here. Homeowners, we do it as a part of the BlueLine Protection home assessment. And then from there, we then tell the homeowner a list of things they can do to make their home unappealing. And that's free of charge. Yeah. So then the services we offer that's outside of that assessment while we're there, we'll let you know what we can offer you. And that is window security film. Window security film, we can do 8 mil up to 15 millimeter thick. Wow. We put that on the inside. We can also do it on the outside, but traditionally we do it on the inside. You can't tell it's there. It's that perfectly clear. Wow. And then we use structural sealant on the edges that actually adheres it to the frame so that if they try to smash that window, they're going to be bashing away forever and still not be able to break it through because it's adhered to the frame and the frame is adhered to the studs of the house, the frame of the house. Right. And then on top of that, we offer door reinforcement where we put these reinforcement locking mechanisms. There's a variety of different offerings that we have that increases the resilience of the door to be reinforced up to thousands of pounds. Wow. So a guy my size, I'm 6'4", 260, smashing on that door, I have to give it everything I have just to even make it budge slightly, and I'm still not getting through. Wow. So baseball bats, bricks, rocks, whatever, door kicks, crowbars, it's not getting through. You're not getting through. And again, it's time. What people don't understand is the average break-in takes between 5 and 10 seconds for somebody to think of that. You're asleep in your house and you're beside your wife or your husband, your kids are asleep in bed, and all of a sudden you hear smash. Within 10 seconds, they're in, and within 20 seconds, they're at the threshold of your bedroom door. Yeah. How much time does that give you to actually adequately prepare and react? Whereas what this is about creating time. Mm-hmm. This is about creating barriers and time where you hear the first attempt, you're going, what is that? I know what that is because I've never heard something that loud in my front door. Right. You then can say to your wife, call 911, or your husband, call 911. You get yourself something to protect yourself. You gather the kids, you put them in the bathroom, away, the furthest point away from the door, and you're there talking to the police saying, I got a baseball bat or I got whatever, and we do have a means to keep them out. But time is of essence. Get here because I don't want to be put in this position. the police are going to get there because we're talking like 15 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes for them to get in.
Yeah.
And by then the police are there. And if they don't, you've had time to prepare.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, right? And then on top of that, we have security camera systems.
Right.
The best security systems that have real-time monitoring, doorbell systems. We have solar, non-wired, so that you just literally plug and play. We install them for you. We link you up so that you're set, and then you've got that added layer of protection. And in the spring, we're moving towards bollards for your garage door, so you can pop up the bollard, and they can't steal your car out of your garage should they gain entry into there either. We can do them in your driveways too, actually.
I would say a lot of people I've seen the driveway recently since the crime's been going up, like, and I remember driving by seeing that. I'm like, wow, I don't know what that is, but that's genius. That would deter somebody.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's and with all that smashing going on, you got to think too, like the neighbors are going to be like, what the heck's going on next door?
It's true.
It's eyes on. It's eyes on. And when there's eyes on, all of a sudden they're going, there's people smashing in the Joneses' door.
Yeah.
Then you got multiple calls for 911, and then you got multiple witnesses too.
Yeah.
And most people doing home invasions and break and enters, they don't want that. They want to smash, enter, get what they want, and get out.
So majority of the time then, is it fair to say that with these mechanisms that kind of hold them off a little bit, when that resistance is created, do you feel that could even cause a robber to kind of back off and cut? Because then who's going to stand there for 10 minutes doing this, trying to get in? That defeats the whole purpose of what they're trying to do.
We have video of attempts made on the film that we use where the bad guys literally try, and they get so tired and winded, they give up and walk away.
Wow.
And that's where they don't care about getting caught. That's just out of pure fatigue. They're done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, right? Is getting in is so difficult when there's those types of barriers in place, and we've reinforced your home that well. And then there's strategic lighting aspects of CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design too, where it's like, it's really nice aesthetic looking with the lighting that we suggest you do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really bad for crime, because crime does not like to operate under a spotlight. They like dark spots. They like to operate under the cover of darkness. So
how about, like, now I've seen a lot of homes kind of include them where there's the censored light. So, but I've heard people say, well, robbers know now it's just a censored light. It's not actually someone turning the light on, so they still do their job anyways. Yeah. What would you say about that specifically?
I would say it's best to have a full-time running light. And like keep up lighting in the exterior periphery of your home, eliminate dark spots. And with LED now, it's not like your hydro bill is going to run like crazy. There's LED options where you can actually light the outside on timers, where as soon as it gets dark, the light comes on, your house is nicely lit. It looks visually aesthetic and appealing, but at the same time, there's nobody going to be able to sneak up on your window or door and start doing some funny business. It's going to be all well lit. And then should they try, they're going to see that big old BlueLine Home Protection sticker in the window. And as that starts to gain notoriety, they're going to be like, oh, forget it. It's a BlueLine house. Because what's the point in trying?
Yeah. Well, like you said, even like a guy of like your stature trying to bustle a door, even if you're there 1,000 times and you get through by whatever, you're gassed. Like, you're not going to get up and be like, oh, what am I going to go get now? Like, you're over it.
And now you're meeting a fully emotionally charged, adrenaline pumped homeowner
that's
who's been waiting for you to get in.
Knock you.
Like, right? No dice, right? No dice. It's not a smart move. I would advocate, if you see a BlueLine sticker, find another house.
Get on with it.
Yeah, move on.
What would you suggest? I know you mentioned on it briefly, like get the kids, put them in the furthest corner of the home, like away from the door. Any other measures you would suggest? Let's say someone hires you, all features are in, but these guys are still going. Like, okay, grab something to protect yourself, move the kids away. Is there anything else? Because
put as many barriers in place as you can. Door locks, like lock the bathroom door, lock your bedroom door, barricade your door if you have to, move a bed in front, whatever, dresser. Make it so that it's like, if they should get through those barriers we've put in place, by the time they get to you, you want to make those barriers to be ever increasing, where it's like, Super Mario Brothers 3. By the time you get to Bowser Castle, it's like you got no lives left.
Yeah.
It's over.
All right. That makes sense. And then, like, how about, so for example, like we mentioned, okay, get something to protect yourself. Let's say there's people, like, obviously if you try to protect yourself in certain ways, you can end up getting in trouble, right? With law enforcement. So what would you suggest if there's a mother or father, doesn't matter, wants to protect their family, intruder comes in, let's say they don't have these security protections in place, how to go about protecting themselves? Because if they're being put at risk, but they can't really do anything about it, how do you deal with a situation like that?
Well, I'll start off by saying, first and foremost, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that our Criminal Code of Canada says you have the right to protect yourself using as much force as necessary, and you're in a situation at night where somebody's coming to your home. You don't know their intentions for coming into your home. Is it to take your PS5 or is it to kill you? You don't know that. And it's not up to you, because you are not clairvoyant to be able to tell what the hell they're actually doing in there. So why is the onus all of a sudden, like that incident in Peterborough where that homeowner got charged for beating up the guy who came in with a crossbow?
Yeah.
Like, why are you going into a house with a crossbow in the middle of the night, bud? Like, what the heck are you doing there? The fact that homeowner got charged is absolutely ridiculous. And again, this is a call to civic engagement. I call on people to honestly get engaged and start lighting up their MPs' inboxes, emails, phones, go to their offices, whatever you got to do. Petition for change, because we should have the ability to protect ourselves in our own homes when we're minding our business and somebody comes in with nefarious intent. But again, like I said before, the best thing that I would suggest is make sure that those protection measures are in place so that you're not even put in that position. So that they can't even get in to put you in the position to have to defend yourself. But again, should you find yourself in that position, I can't give legal advice because then I put myself in a position of liability, because this is Canada. But what I can say is I'm protecting my family at all costs. I'm protecting my family at all costs. And that's like, I'm not going to sit there and second guess myself. And next thing you know, harm has found my wife or children because I'm worried about some absolutely ludicrous system penalizing me. I'll worry about that afterwards. First thing is protecting them. And I think that's my job.
100%. And then like in your kind of time, whether being in the force or doing what you're doing now, when it comes to like home invasions, like did you see more statistically it's people actually going in just trying to take whatever they can find, or it's going in for harm?
I found it's typically threatened harm to get what they want, but they're not afraid to inflict harm on the homeowner to get what they want. But there's a difference between a home invasion and a break and enter. A break and enter, they'll smash, grab, leave. Home invasion, they're there for a targeted purpose. Like they might have some intel, or they might have scoped out your place or saw you pick up, maybe some jewelry at the jewelry store. They followed you home. They know you got it. They saw what you were getting from the jeweler while you were there. They passed along the information to some unsavory people. They're at your house and they want what you got, as well as any other jewelry you might have, or valuables, precious metals, cash, whatever it is. But the bottom line is, they don't have the right to take it. And I have to speak against that chief. And that chief that said just comply, I think it went
viral.
It went viral for a reason. Like, come on. Like, what should, in my view, what I would have said if I were the chief of police sitting on that pulpit, I would not have said just comply to the people. I would have read the criminal code verbatim, letting the criminals know that the Criminal Code of Canada actually empowers Canadians to use as much force as necessary to protect themselves and their families. And that they're put on notice if they go into a house that we will be backing the homeowners who did protect themselves, and that there's not going to be an extension of grace given to the people that put the homeowner in that position in the first place.
Well, that's even dives into, was it the mayor or the chief in Florida? That guy turns around, he's basically like, shoot him if you got to. Like, why are you entering your home? So all Canadians, or at least us here, we're like, this guy's saying, protect your home as you should. Here we're like, it's actually easier if you just leave your keys on the front little plate at the front so they can just take your car or like come into your home.
It's a joke.
And it's like, it's a joke. Now it's like, how do you want me to trust you to protect me when you're telling me to give the guy my keys?
Right. And again, remember I mentioned that politician thing? That's somebody who's politically pandering rather than taking, whereas the guy down in Broward County, Florida, he's like, I don't care. This is the rules. And I love what he says. He goes, my residents own guns. They love guns. And you come into their house, I encourage them to blast you out through the door. And again, maybe not everyone's inclined to want to do that. But you should at least be empowered to protect yourself and your family. And the fact that statement was made, couple statements, the keys at the front door, just comply. At what point do we allow common sense to dictate? And down in Florida, it seems like common sense is dictating when it comes to that. And Canada, it seems like clown world. But the bottom line is, and it comes down to this, and it might be controversial to some, and if it is, I'm not apologizing for it. You should be allowed to protect yourself in your own home. But since we are in this mess, let's make sure you're not put in that position. And we can make it so that you're not put in that position, and that you've put things in place to keep you and your family safe.
Yeah. And it's like you said it, like we were talking just briefly before this and he's like, it's sad that we exist, like his company, because they shouldn't have to, in the sense of you should feel safe in your own home. Crime shouldn't be as high as it is. Sure, the guy in Florida, maybe some people don't agree with what he said, but guess what? If I'm a criminal and I'm hearing that, I'm not going into a house because now I know that the police are going to defend this guy that's going to blow my head off. Here, it's like, even if I defend my own, if I was a criminal all day, I'd be like, oh, this guy's saying comply. This guy's saying leave the keys. Ciao. I don't even need experience. I'm just going to do it. Yeah. But like, I think you also brought up a really good point in differentiation between break and enter and home invasion. Because I think among like common civilian, like we use the words interchangeably, but they do mean something significantly different.
Yeah, they do. 100%. It's like when people say I got robbed.
Right.
Well, robbery is a theft with the application of force. A threat of violence.
Okay.
A theft is where somebody just stole something from you. So you got basically invaded. And that's the other part of this too, is, you know, a break and enter is no less traumatic, I would say. Like, imagine you come home and you found that your house has been ransacked and all of your property has been rummaged through and your valuables are gone. Like, that feeling of instilled safety and sanctuary in your home is robbed from you, where I will use that because it does feel violent. It's ripped away from you. Yeah. And whereas when you know you come home and you see that your window's been smashed at and your door's been kicked at, but they didn't get in, that instills this empowering feeling of, you know what? Sure. They tried, they failed. Yeah. My house is absolutely reinforced and I can sleep well. And that's the other thing too. Yeah. If you do have it happen to your house, we'll come back and we'll reapply on your new window for free.
That's amazing.
Yeah. If somebody has come to kick in your window and you get back and you're like, oh, or your door has been kicked at and there's a crack in the frame and you got to buy a new door, we'll come and reinstall new door locks for free. That's part of our service offering we want to give to our customers, just to let them know, like, we're not a one and done thing. We're building a community here with BlueLine Home Protection of customers that are part of a family. Like, we want it to be where we're actually networking. We're going to be moving forward with networking opportunities as well, where we're going to go into the communities and teach them how they can look out for each other, kind of like a neighborhood watch. Yeah. And we want that peace of mind for them to know that should somebody try, we're going to come back. Good. We're going to reinstall the film on that window. We're going to reinstall the door locks on your new door, and we're going to make sure that you're right back to being as secure as you were when we left the first time.
I love that, because that also just shows like the true meaning behind what you're doing, which is it's not just a great business idea. It's, no, I want to serve, I want to protect, and I'm doing this for the citizen, for the civilian. It's not, well, it's a good idea, crime's up, I'm going to make money, and we're going to move on. Like, you're actually doing it because you care and you see the discrepancies and you want people to feel safe and protected. Yeah. And I think now it's scary. Like, my parents live in the neighborhood where the Vaughan one happened. And it's like, you hear a car outside in the middle of the night and you jump. You're like, what is that? That's not a way to live. Like, that's not a way to sleep. And then it becomes unhealthy because you're on pins and needles all the time. Yeah. Like, it's so sad. And like the poor guy that literally died defending his family. And it's like, and if he didn't do that, who knows what else could have happened, right? And I always say, like, criminals don't care. They're not nice. They're not coming in to make a deal with you. Like, they're coming in, like you said, to get what they want and leave. Yeah. They're going to do what they have to do to get what they want and leave. So even you telling me to comply, I can comply. But if I look at them the wrong way and they're flip, I'm screwed anyways. Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing here? Literally, what are we doing here?
Well, and in that home invasion in Vaughan.
Yeah.
The guys that were responsible for that, the absolute low-life pieces of garbage that did that, they went on to another house right afterwards.
That's wild.
And did another home invasion.
Wow.
Like, this is what we're talking about. There is no fear or respect for the law.
No.
So
they laugh at the cops.
They do. Yeah. They don't care. And they know if they get put before a judge, they're going to be let out before the cops are even done the paperwork. Yeah. Like, how sad is that? And here's the other thing. So statistically, in Ontario, since June 16th of this year to today, which is December 16th, 6 months, there's been 20 to 25,000 break and enters just in Ontario.
All right, quick pause before we jump back into the episode. If you're listening to this and you've been thinking about renovating your home, your condo, or you're just tired of dealing with contractors who overpromise and underdeliver, this is for you. I want to shout out AMJ Custom Renovations. They're a family-run business, and their whole thing is being a transparent solution, which honestly matters way more than people realize when it comes to renos. Michael, the owner, is an absolute beauty to work with. They handle everything A to Z, no bouncing between trades, no guessing games, just clean, honest work done the right way. So if a renovation is on your radar, big or small, reach out to AMJ Custom Renovations. I'll drop their info in the bio or caption below. All right, let's get back into the episode.
Wow. And in the numbering, 100 to 200 home invasions is the stats that I could get so far.
Right.
Whether attempted or completed. Wow. So think about that. Like, that is the number of home invasions and break-in enters that we're seeing. Right. So I'll tell you a quick little story. I promise this young lad I wouldn't say his name. Okay. But I know a young lad that was so scared because of the advent of all of these break-in enters and home invasions happening. He's seeing it on the news, hearing it at his friend groups at school. Yeah. He was leaving his bedroom every night to go downstairs to sleep on the couch so that his dog could sleep beside him so that he would feel safe. Because he only felt safe with his dog beside him. Because his dog is literally his best friend and follows him everywhere. Right. We went and installed our services, did their windows and door locks. And since our install, that kid has not slept on the couch one night. Really? Since. He's sleeping full night's sleep. I've gotten confirmation of that. 100% safe and secure, feeling very, very safe in his home. And the dog sleeps at the bottom of the stairs. And that's the way it should be. Yeah. That's the way it should be.
100%. And even something like that, right? Like, so many people are like, oh, I'm going to buy a German Shepherd. I'm going to buy this. It's going to protect my home. It's going to bark, whatever it is. And it's like, but that's not why you should have a dog. Like, have a dog because you want a dog. It's cute. It's friendly. It's your best friend. Yeah. But it's not, you shouldn't have to buy an animal to feel like you're going to be protected against it, who, in my opinion, are also animals, just in human form, right? Yeah. That's so sweet. That is so cute.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that we love about, like, those are the good stories. You get those successes. Yeah. Is we love that we can make people actually feel that empowerment again. You should feel empowered being in your own home. 100%. It's your domain. 100%. And nobody should be able to take that from you. And our job as cops was to roam the streets at night. You didn't know we were there, but we were there roaming the streets looking for bad guys. Yeah. And now, since we're not doing that part of community service anymore, we're going from home to home, reinforcing their homes so that they can still get that peace of mind.
You're still doing it in a similar way, but just better, to be honest, in my opinion. Yeah. And I feel like that too. Like, I feel like you see less of that nowadays, like with police officers, like just casually cruising, driving around. I feel like everyone, when they see a police officer now or a police vehicle, someone always has something bad to say. It's no longer like there's a cop here, I feel safe. It's like, I tell myself I feel safe, but then I'm also like, do I really though? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, I've seen so many cops just back off from a fight or just kind of look and like hesitate, like you were saying, to go, because now though you shone light upon something that some people may not know, which is, it's not sometimes the actual person that doesn't want to do something. It's them thinking about the reprimand they may get into. Right. For actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. I heard something recently, I don't know who told me this, and it could be wrong, but before, police officers were able to use more judgment when entering a scene when it came to like arrests or ticketing or whatever it may be. But now it's like they kind of just have to, like, let's say like it's an arrest for something. Like, they have to just do it because that's what the law is. Whereas before it'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to arrest you because this was actually the situation when I showed up, kind of thing. Yeah. And I feel like that's dwindled. So when you have no like human, I guess, discretion that can be used, sure, everyone's going to arrest everybody. And then everyone's going to hate the police officers because, well, they're not using discretion. They're just going to cuff me up anyways, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Discretionless. And robotic is the term that I often hear. And, you know, when I first started years ago, it was a different feel, the way we did policing. It was very much community based. You know, I would walk the beat and I would go and talk to shop owners and homeowners, give my business card, say, hey, if you hear anything, let me know. You know, I want to know what's going on in the community. And I would always go after drug dealers, human traffickers, stuff like that. I want to get that intel. I had a book that was literally a bad boy book of just intel that I would get on certain nefarious characters in the community to keep an eye on it, follow up on it. And what was good was there was that communication. And what I also liked about it too was there was more, like you said, discretion. Let's say you get a kid that stole something from the convenience store. And, you know, discretionless robotic policing is charge him and arrest him. Well, what if the kid's dad got laid off because of the community, you know, in a downturn economy and there's no food on the table and, you know, he's desperate. Yeah. would you rather charge the kid and now the kid's got to get a lawyer to go to court? Or people make mistakes, and it applies some discretion and some common sense to the situation, right? And I mean, maybe it's still that way. Maybe there's officers out there still doing it that way. I hope there is. Yeah. Because that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about policing, was the discretion to be able to not ruin somebody's life rather than just looking for the opportunity to ruin somebody's life.
Well, it's like ticketing too, right? I feel like that's why a lot of people are like, they feel police officers are spending so much time on the wrong things, like giving tickets to every 5 people that drive by them, and then there's like actual criminals wandering the streets, but they don't get that much attention. But I'm going to give out $700 in tickets today because that works for me. Like, and the easy way out or whatever. So yeah, definitely crazy to see a change, but amazing to see what you guys are doing. And like, it just shows there are good people in the police force, and there might still be some that are in there and they're trying to do their job, but it's just getting overcompiled. Like you said, now the bushel just seems bad. But I think it's an opportunity and a learning lesson for everybody that it doesn't matter the industry you're in, it doesn't matter your job. If you feel like something's going wrong and it doesn't align with you, do not be afraid to leave and to take your talent and what you're called to do and do it in your own way. You're not stuck in one position forever, even if you feel comfortable there.
Right.
So back to BlueLine. Where do you foresee BlueLine going now? Like, what's your goal? What's your goal for the future?
Our goal is to expand across Canada, and we want to make it so that we offer this service to everybody. We don't want it just to be relegated and kind of siloed to Ontario. We do have officers that have since retired or are ready to leave or wanting to leave that have reached out to us and said, if you come out our way, we'd love to jump ship and join with you guys. We'd love to do that service because they believe in it too. And I'll be honest in saying we are very selective. Like, we are not going to go after the guy or gal that we think was just jamming everybody with tickets. Like, we're not going to go after that type of person. We want the community-oriented type of officer, because at the end of the day, that's the type of person that's going to serve well, that's going to really have that manner with our clients. We want them to have that instilled confidence and that line of open communication, and we want it to feel like the first moment we get there to the time we're complete your install, that's not the end of the line, that you can still continue to keep up communication with us. Ask us as many questions as you have. Let us know anything that you think is important for us to know. We want to make sure that it's a continuous, ongoing relationship so that you can feel that empowerment in your home. And
I think that also is a testament to like your values and your intentions, because if your core that started this sees things one way, but now some people get blinded by business and it's like, I want to expand, I'll just take any officer that leaves. But then you're veering away from what your goal is. So even just you saying what you're saying just to show even the viewers like how firm you are in doing what you're doing and how much you believe in what you're doing.
Well, I'll tell you a quick funny story that maybe your viewers will find interesting to show you the type of officer I was compared to that other officer you mentioned.
Tell us.
So back in the day, I was policing in the Thornhill area at the time. And there was this officer on my shift who I could not stand because he would literally jam up everybody with tickets all day. And I was starting to get suspicious, right? Like, is this guy just jamming up everybody for no reason? Like, is he actually finding all these offenses? Because he's pulling in like 50, 60, 70 tickets a day.
Wow.
A day. And I would write like 37 a year type of thing. Like, it was really low. So what I did was I went on my GPS and I tracked him after I was done a call, knowing that I had to do a report. So I'm like, I got a report to do. So I'm going to wait to see where he parks to do his traffic setup. So he sets up at this 3-way stop location hidden by some shrubs. And I'm like, he's going to do stop sign enforcement. I parked where you couldn't see me because the shrubs were blocking me. I parked where everyone at that 3-way stop could see me to do my report with my lights on.
So they would stop.
So everybody's stopping. Like, they were not, nobody was rolling that stop sign, right?
Had no
clue. And for an hour, he sat there as I did my report, just, everyone's stopping clearly because I'm here. And then as I'm keeping an eye, I see him pull somebody over because he got impatient and waiting. And it was a soccer mom driving a van, and she fully stopped.
You saw it.
I saw it, and he pulled the officer. He pulled the lady over, and he didn't see me there. Right. So I pull up as if I'm backing him on the traffic stop, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you got here?" He's like, "Oh, she rolled a stop sign." I'm like, "Oh yeah. So what are you gonna do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna jam her for that and the insurance." I'm like, "Oh, her insurance is expired too." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Can I see it?" He's like, "No." So I'm like, just so you know, I was parked up there and I saw every single person stopping, including her. I parked there to prove that you actually jam people when they shouldn't be jammed. I walked up to the lady, I gave her my business card, and I said, just so you know, if he gives you any tickets, I will testify in evidence against him in court.
Wow.
Went to the staff sergeant, told the staff sergeant this is the type of guy that he is. And in short order, he was off of our shift and platoon.
Right.
But again, that was a bad apple. And that's what I want the public to know
Yes.
is that there are guys like me out there
Yeah.
that will hold them to account and say, no,
Yeah.
no, not on my watch.
Yeah.
That's not how we do it.
Yeah.
And now with our business, we're not hiring guys like him. We're looking for guys with integrity and gals with integrity that are going to do it the right way, that have a moral compass. That's the most important thing.
Well, for sure. Like even something like that, it's like, yeah, you're right. He's impatient. And I think actually before I even touch to that, because I always say this, I'm like, you'll see like police officers like pulled over. Obviously, you're driving, you see a cop slam the brake, two hands on two. Like you just do the most crazy things that you probably wouldn't normally do because you're like, I don't want to get in trouble. But I always thought to myself, do police officers even realize like when they're just parked there, like what they're causing on the road? Because I feel like some do, but then I also feel like some may just pull over to like do the report, like to get it done, and then they don't realize like in the street beside them everyone's like braking and like trying to like figure themselves out so they don't get a ticket.
Yeah, I mean I was certainly aware of that. That's why I would traditionally park in a parking lot backed away, doing my
you're
notes.
Not causing havoc.
So I'm not causing. I don't want to cause an accident just for my presence. But if there is like, let's say a high traffic area of speeders and stuff, and it's a school zone, I'll park my car there too, especially when the kids are getting off the bus, or I know that there's kids crossing with the crossing guards, to make sure that the presence was seen and people are really paying attention when I could. To not that I was doing a lot of enforcement, though I would, especially when it comes. That's where I would actually get those few tickets I would write was if you're going to put kids in danger and like, drive like an idiot in school zones and stuff like that. Well, come on.
Like, that's out of line.
That's a different level.
Yeah.
Like you got to curb your impatience and your speeding a little bit because there's kids there, right?
For sure. But I think even just that answer shows like, because you started by saying you would pull up there and it wasn't because that's where I would give tickets and, it's a school zone, to whatever. No, you literally started that answer by saying that's where I would park because, like there's students there and there's kids and, for the safety, like everything you say just should amplify more to a viewer about like where you stand, who the kind of officer you were and how that's translating into BlueLine now. And I can only imagine the guys that work with you or ladies that work with you stand for those exact same things and were those similar types of officers when they were in the force as well.
100%. And that's a really good point you made. I'm glad you said that because the police officers that served and are now with BlueLine, we've cherry picked to make sure are the best that served, that have the most integrity, that have a really good way with the people, that care and are passionate about our mission. And they want to make sure that their customers that they're dealing with every day know that and feel that. Yeah. Right. And if they don't have that, they're not going to be employed with us.
Yeah. Which is, I think, is again like reassurance to those hiring you that even if maybe you can't show up to a job for whatever reason, the person that's showing up, it aligns with you. Yeah. It's not like, well, we had to grow, we hired more people. Joe Smith is coming to your house, and then I'm talking to Joe Smith, and I'm like, but I heard Chris on the podcast, and he's saying this, and Joe's telling me like, comply, and then it's like you have two different situations. But I want to quickly talk about something too. It doesn't have to do with BlueLine, but we talked about it on the phone. But it's because I believe in it strongly, and now it's cool because you're sitting here, we can talk about it. But you said that back in 2020, I think it was 2021, you actually not called out, but like stood against like enforcement of what was happening then. And I think that's an important point, not because of my views and opinions that I can go on a tangent about, but because that is a strong statement to make in a time where everyone was kind of, I don't want to say culting together, but coming together for a certain cause. Yeah. So at that point, what made you realize like, I'm going to take a stance? Like, even though like I'm in this and this could backfire, like, but you believed in protecting and serving civilians so much that like you took that stance and you did speak out. Yeah. That's a very like,
I was the first active police officer in the world to speak out against the mandates. Yeah. Because again, it wasn't because I was saying that, I didn't care about public safety and because of the virus and all that other stuff. The main reason I stood up was because I took an oath, and that oath was first, before anything else, was to uphold the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of Canadians. That is the first part of our oath, right? Before it says keep the peace, prevent offenses, enforce the laws, blah, 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 it says uphold the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of Canadians. That is the first part of my oath. And I'm not going to throw out that first part of my oath, because then what the heck does the rest of my oath mean? And telling me that I have to go and bust in a door because there's 13 kids at a kid's birthday party and it's an 8 limit due to the lockdown orders, or there's kids who've been locked inside their house for long periods of time and now they want to go outside and skate on a pond, and that's all of a sudden illegal, but the LCBO and Walmart can have a lineup around their building, and I'm not going to go and do enforcement there because that's okay under the legislation, the Reopening Ontario Act. But I got to go and tell that kid that he's got to go home or he's going to get a Reopening Ontario Act ticket. I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And when I saw the kid dragged off the ice in Calgary, that was the catalyst moment for me. I'm like, I am done. And I stood up and I said, I will not violate my oath. And as a result of me standing up, it turns out there was thousands of police officers around Canada that agreed with me and stood up with me. And we pushed back. And again, there is public health that can do their job. I'm not a public health officer.
For sure.
I'm a policer, or I was a police officer. And my job was to keep the public safe, but first and foremost is to enshrine and ensure and protect their charter rights. That's the first part. And that was a deal stopper for me. The second they wanted me to violate that, not happening, sorry.
And I think you also just clarified a lot, because I feel like we all know our charter rights and freedoms, but not like to the depth. Like I was messaging my lawyer friend saying like, well, what is the chart? Like to the depth. I think I searched it more in that 1 year than I ever have in my life. But it's because you assume that even like the police officers or any form of authority knows them so well. Clearly it's in your oath that like they are there to protect me. So even if I don't know it as well, it's that off balance. But I was like, I need to invest myself, because that's not even being reciprocated from the people that it should be told. And that's interesting. Obviously, I never took an oath, so I don't know. But that's the first line.
That's the first line. You know what's shocking?
What?
Is I would then go during that whole period of history, and I would approach police officers on duty and say, hey, my name's Chris VandenBos, police officer, standing up against this, will not violate my oath. Do you know what your oath is?
They didn't know.
Half of them didn't even know. Wow. They didn't even know the oath they took at Ontario Police College or at their swearing-in ceremonies at each headquarters. Wow. They didn't even know the oaths that they swore. And I would then say, go to your duty book. I want you to read. If it's not in your duty book, if you don't have one that has it in your duty book, which is where they write their notes, then go online and type in Police Officers Oath Ontario and read the first line of what it says. It says, Her Majesty the Queen, and now it's a king, is like the first part of it. I swear allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen, blah, 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 blah. And I swear to uphold the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of Canadians. And a lot of them were like, oh, well, kind of indifferent. But then there would be ones that didn't really remember or know, and they'd be like, oh man, I didn't realize that. I'd be like, you should know that. And when your superior tells you to do something that violates that, it is your duty to say no. Yeah.
Well, because it's you guys that will create change, even if the leadership, we spoke about leadership, is saying the alternative. Yeah. Because I feel like that kind of comes into politics too, where it's like your leader may be saying things that will help with other things. Yeah. But if you guys are standing against it, and I think I got goosebumps when you said there was other officers that stood up with you, because sometimes it takes that one person to get up with the confidence and say, hey, this is wrong. And all of a sudden everyone comes out of the woodworks and they're like, but I felt the same way. But because people are scared to stand up because they're scared of the risk of the backfire, losing a job. Job losses were like this in that time era. It was so sad. So yeah, like there's a major standoff to you. Like I remember seeing, because people reported on you and stuff like on social media, seeing that and being like, this guy gets it because he just wants to do his job the way his job should be done. That's it. That's all you were doing. You weren't doing anything wrong. You were just standing up for what you oathed in. But it explains why a lot of people couldn't even think that far, because they don't even know what they swore into. No. So it was just like, yeah, well, I'm being told to do this. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
And that was the saddest part. That was the saddest part, right? The amount of pushback I got from people too, right? That were like, calling me all these names where it's like, listen, you don't even know where I stand on any of those issues. But what you do know is that I'm saying I won't violate my oath and that the police shouldn't The hands down, like no questions asked, full stop.
Yeah.
And the media jumped on board to paint me in a negative light. And again, that's fine now, because at the time when I went on ChatGPT, or you did not even ChatGPT, just like Googling my name, it was nothing but negative. But then you go on ChatGPT now and you say, tell me about Chris VandenBos and write me a poem. It actually says nothing but nice things, right? It's funny how history can change views so much, right? And so much more is known.
But typically, like that, the noisemaker, which is what you did at the time, is always going to be painted in a negative light. There was a lot of people in that time that were painted negatively, and then over time it's like, oh, they knew what they were talking about. Oh, good for them. Oh, I have respect for them. Same people that hated them and turned out to love them. So I think it's another like lesson in like, if there's something you believe in, just stand up for it. If you believe in yourself and your point so firmly, especially when it comes to a job and what you're swearing into, it'd be like a lawyer that has to go through all this stuff to become a lawyer, and then, well, they just decide to not follow the law and not defend you, all this stuff. Like he said, there's bad apples in every profession. There's going to be a squeaky lawyer, there's going to be a squeaky cop, there's going to be a squeaky whatever. But there are people out there that do want to do what they signed up for in the first place. Yeah. And that gets forgotten a lot.
It does. And I tip my hat and give kudos to every single oath-taking officer that push back to their supervisors to say, no, I'm not violating the rights of the people. I tip my hat off to them, because I know you can hold me to it and saying, I know what that felt like. I know what it was like. And at the end of the day, I am a political orphan. I don't have a political party leaning. But what I do have is an oath that I took that I stood by. Yeah. And that supersedes any politician that's currently holding office. That oath was put in place to protect the people from changes in government, changes in party governance. I was supposed to be put into place to make sure that their rights were protected, and I'd be damned if I was going to change that. And I can look at myself in the mirror now, all these years later, and say, I maintained it. I'm now no longer on the job, but I'm able to pretend I still have that oath and apply it to what we're doing now with BlueLine Home Protection, which I'm extremely passionate about, and everybody that we're working with is too. And I tell you, it's a really rewarding thing to be able to do it.
For sure. Well, you're changing lives. Like even just that young child that you were speaking about, like, that's not even an adult, that's a child. So things always hit different when it's obviously a child involved. And it's like, to know that you were able to do that over something that you're just doing to save and protect, like that changed that kid's, he'll remember that forever. The guy will be like 70 and be like, oh, when I was 10, like there was this guy, he came and he did the frame, he'll tell his kids about it. Like you just create this generation of impact that some people don't realize. The smallest thing that may seem like nothing to you is the biggest deal for somebody else.
100%. And another thing I wanted to make sure I touched on too is, as any impediment that you think might be in place to having us service you with our offerings, don't worry about it, because I'm telling you right now, we offer 6 months, no interest. Nice. So we can do an install and you won't have to pay for 6 months. We can do the application right there on the spot. Yeah. But secondly, as another factor to consider, when BlueLine Home Protection does an install, the price of our services for installation is going to be much more affordable than people think, for number one. And number two, the deductible price for your insurance is typically between $1,000 and $2,500, sometimes $3,000. Wow. Our install fees come close to the price of a deductible on your insurance, except you're not going to have things go missing. The insurance company tell you, oh, we can't cover this or that because you don't have evidence of it or receipt, or it's valued less, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Keep your items in your home. Call BlueLine Home Protection. We'll do the install, and it's going to be much more affordable than you think, and you also can have it where you don't pay for 6 months. Yeah.
Well, I love that. That's amazing. Especially now too, right? I feel like a lot of people are in this like financial crisis. They may want to protect their home, but they don't have the financial means or whatever. So, and I'm sure like you could just tell by the way you guys are speaking, you're willing to work with people and make everything 100%. Work out. So don't let that, because I feel like that's the first thing people think about. So it's like, don't let that be your barrier to entry to getting them to come protect your home. Question, BlueLine, is that because you used to be police officers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the blue line is one thing that's always referred to in policing is the blue line of policing. And I mean, it's just kind of a double entendre in a sense, or as kind of paying homage to our history as police officers. Yeah. And it's also the blue line of protection. We want that to be synonymous with home protection. When they think blue line, they think home protection, and they also can very easily, delve into their minds and go, oh, that's clearly police officers because blue line home protection, police, blue line, blah, 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 blah. But that you're having former police officers that know what to look for. Yeah. We've been in the field, we've patrolled your streets, and that's why our slogan for Blue Line is Blue Line Home Protection, from the front line to your front door.
I like that. That's I'm going to put that on the screen. I like that. I really like that. Okay, so final question from me. I ask all my guests this. Doesn't matter what they speak about, what industry they're from, just because everyone has a journey and they've gone through so much in their field, their life, their career. What's one piece of advice you'd give to your 16-year-old self?
Oh, goodness. That's a tough one. What I would say is, oh man, I would say that the biggest piece of advice would not just be what I give to myself at 16, 17 years old. It would also be the pieces of advice that I give to my sons today. 100%. And that is, be confident in who you are, do the right thing when no one's looking, and no matter what, under no circumstances, change your moral compass. Always let that guide you. And there has been times in my younger days before becoming a police officer, peer pressure can dictate changes in that. Don't let that be the case. Stick to it. You know what? You'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of the person you see. So that moral compass is number one. Stick to it.
I love that. Well, thank you for that. That was like a mic drop. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's been awesome.
I know. It's a great conversation. Guys, you know who to reach out to, especially now. It's the holiday season in Toronto, at least, like with Christmas, last 2 weeks of December. Reach out to them. Chris is more than willing to have a conversation with anybody, answer any questions you guys have. I'm going to put all their handles, all the information of how you can contact them in all the bios, the captions of everywhere that the podcast shoots out to. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and of course, my DMs are open. Any suggestions of guests you want to come on in the future, I'm opening to listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.